A Su Majestad el Rey Otumfour Osei Tutu II, Rey del pueblo Ashanti de Ghana, a pronunciar el discurso inaugural.
Mema krobia iri fiang mani kotok ngen. Mema krobia iri fiang mani kotok ngen. Asante chanti otmo champonu fungen. Asante chanti otmo champonu fungen. Asante sesebo simenditien. Asante sesebo simenditien. Obia satinedwe kasangen. Obia satinedwe kasangen. Osetutwe mi modi nwerisio. Osetutwe mi modi nwerisio. Watch down quality one pimsi kapobano. Why in the Benya second teach leg watch down quality one pimsi kapobano. Obinya Sebianco baby. Obinya Sebianco baby. I'm not telling you about the Mefe Kasange.
For Memo Aquaba, a question Kusuna Memfamra Unity Online TV. So, but more than so, subscribe to this channel. We make a comment on it now for the more stories and updates to me a guacachina bibia and so akoso kama achese enyasem keto akra for number na that's so na ne adwetwe nkomo ya kodon construction say fa bo ne anwea then see honia ma na wo pay me pacho o pass asase ato pay me si ni carpenter force friend number na that's so na edikoko enso aye no na no mo twetwe nkomo master Alex stick to say a fabric proof China doors remote control gate barristers car park ni de ka ho friend 0541 901 819 oni ne twetwe nkomo na bibia nso enkoso kama chese enya senketo akra ene die free hoba yede munsem enso so ere mamo e wo show no so a chese enye asem keto akra ena yede mu amanebo enso ere mamo e wo afidikesi so a yede munsem ere mamo me ba cho ODK ba clinic sefa ye asthma diabetes stroke pressure yade a edunya ote furniture mu makachi no mutu ase kama enso so emfama ODK Clinic say we show much you can be home Kumasi Bermai West opposite Shell filling station crying almost your more Makati Hills from na ODK Clinic for Nkomo na bibia and to ye kama trust enya senketo we mo 0559 320039 and I say 0544 929758 ODK Clinic for Nkomo na Irisa enkoso mfama na abrabono bibia ene da ye na nkonimdie enkoso mfama no abusua say ahonto ene ahoden ene hia na watimi abobra mambo akonim ena ODK for nso ensem ena mekanfo amediama yemfa nsem mfengo mfama mo contribution of Otumfour 62 obi be ka say as papa no obeye ohene as Ashanti kingdom ana say asante hene eba bi dia konya so ayabodin Otumfour otiskedwaso wayedai ene dia mo mangana ucheke in Ashanti kingdom Otumfour betina konya so how powerful his kingdom is any inuma waya mebacho yachichi part 1 part 2 according to yenuanom achese wonso di omudwuma pa ya in part 1 part 2 part 3 be ni kakran from year 1990 plus nyuma yura Otumfour 62 ebaye edwumadi aba bi di ni nyina yeba ni abebono mako na musuma hu development of papa no ne nyuma so waye ne asanteman tumi no mpuntuo ne nkoso a waye ade abo asanteman na afi nso no ye ka Ghana yabo Otumfour din ohini bi oba bia na so obampani bi oba bia no ontimi nkasa without Otumfour yentimi modin wa bla bi je Otumfour din ewom ne nyina no papa no contribution ewom ene niema edi ache ne nyina yeba niema be yidi ache no mahunu how powerful Asante hene is na fe ohunu se de niema enso so is etia hwese enya sengeto akra part 1 and part 2 ye ko ne akwa yi video no so ere ache mo na fe ye wia onso so akire wadwene enso comment section no enso so yenko yefamra.
Gold production at the Obuasi mine had been on decline since 1995 due to underground infrastructural challenges. In 2014, Obuasi was placed on limited operations and the staff strength of about 4,235 was drastically reduced to 290. Things had gone bad when in 2012 an attempt was made by Anglo Gold Ashanti to hand over Obuasi back to government of Ghana. Sensing more job losses and collapse of gold's contribution to national revenues, The king intervened at all times in protection of the business via strong advocacy. Finally, the tide has changed. The President of the Republic of Ghana and His Majesty the King of Asante jointly launched the Obuasi redevelopment project in 2019.
In 2016, when the mine was partly overrun by illegal miners, which threatened the very existence of the mine, we were knocking on his doors. He understood the threats we were facing. He understood fully the long-term impact it was going to have if it wasn't addressed. He counseled us. He found his own ways of intervening to ensure that law and order was restored. Beyond that, when we started putting together the plans to get the mine redeveloped, what we call the Obuasi redevelopment project, all along the line we constantly sought his advice and counsel, and we made sure he was updated on progress. All that came together nicely when the Otumfour and the president came to site to launch the redevelopment project. As you can see from the picture I have proudly displayed on my wall. So that is the sort of relationship we have as a business with Otumfour.
This is one of the business and investment forums organized in Kumasi at the instance of Asantehene, where he laid a sales pitch to drive inflows of local and international capital or investment. The personalities the optics revealed so far in the scenes are only the tips of the iceberg of his investment drive. The king walks the talk as a mark of his exemplary leadership. He has established fruit processing and jute manufacturing plants within Ashanti. His Majesty believes in action over verbiage, thus he has put these factories in place, setting up a farmer outgrower scheme to feed production lines with raw materials, and most importantly, these are providing jobs for his people.
At the full operation, we expect to employ close to 1,000 to 1,500 workers, just one factory. Perhaps it might be the biggest factory in Kumasi. I don't know about the crowd, but you know, if you have a factory that has as many as 1,000 workers, it's huge by every standard you look at it. So it's a 60 ton per day jute factory. The second SDG goal is food security and nutrition. The mango farm, the pineapple farm, the oil palm, and the cattle ranch, these are all agricultural ventures that are supposed to contribute towards achievement of food security.
One area that Otumfour Setutu II has affected development of Asante is in the area of working with various central government administrations to facilitate the financing of projects earmarked for Kumasi and Asante in general. Some of such projects include the following: KJTIA or Central Market Redevelopment, redevelopment of Kumasi International Airport, Kumasi Rules Rehabilitation Project, maternal and child block redevelopment at Konfanochi Teaching Hospital in Kumasi. One such major investment drive by Otumfour Setutu II is his partnership with Vital Capital LLC that has resulted in the establishment of the largest residential gated community at Prabong, named Prabong Greenfields, located about 25 minutes from the center of Kumasi. Otumfour Setutu II, as a champion for the preservation of the environment, has established the Asantehene's landscape restoration program to reclaim lands and water bodies that are undergoing destruction in Asante. The first phase of the program, dubbed the Lake Bosontwe Restoration Project, seeks to address and reverse certain trends in the ecology and environment in and around the lake that threaten the sustainability of the lake and its environs. Since 1999, when Otumfour Setutu II was installed as the 16th occupant of the gold stool, he has worked with and supported the various central governments in the country to promote the various national development agenda, starting with the John Otumfour administration to the current administration of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. These include the HIPIC initiative.
If Otumfour had not been there in Washington at that time to influence his friends to work on IMF, I don't know what would have become of Ghana's budget. And people may not know. But for that HIPIC success, I tell you, perhaps the economy of Ghana today might not be the same. We wouldn't have made the headway.
Located about 25 minutes from the center of Kumasi. Otumfour II, as a champion for the preservation of the environment, has established the Ashantis landscape restoration program to reclaim lands and water bodies that are undergoing destruction in Ashanti. The first phase of the program, dubbed the Lake Bosomtwe Restoration Project, seeks to address and reverse certain trends in the ecology and environment in and around the lake that threaten the sustainability of the lake and its environs. Since 1999, when Otumfour II was installed as the 16th occupant of the gold stool, he has worked with and supported the various central governments in the country to promote the various national development agenda, starting with the John Otumfour administration to the current administration of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. These include the HIPIC initiative.
If Otumfour had not been there in Washington at that time to influence his friends to work on IMF, I don't know what would have become of Ghana's budget. And people may not know. But for that HIPIC success, I tell you, perhaps the economy of Ghana today might not be the same. We wouldn't have made the headway. We moved from, if you would remember, the lows of something like 400 US dollars per capita, 2001, 2002 and thereabouts. By 2006, Ghana hit per capita GDP of $1,300. That was what moved Ghana from the doldrums, perhaps, to middle income.
Facilitation of IMF support for the Ghanaian economy.
We had to go to the IMF, but you don't just walk into the IMF like that. And we needed to do that fast. And so even though we had written to the IMF, they were taking their time to set up a mission and all that, and come and do a pre-assessment and all that. Meanwhile, we needed this to happen fast, so that the economy could start to come out of the hole in which it was. And so I discussed it with Otumfour. One of the times I went to Kumasi and I discussed with him and I said, look, we decided to go to the IMF, but the IMF are dragging their feet and it's taking too long for them to make a decision. But I know you have contacts, with some of these leaders of international finance institutions. So I want you to, get involved and see how you can get us into a program. So he quickly agreed. And I agreed with him. He said he would go and talk to Jim Wilson, who was his very good friend and former managing director of the World Bank. So he called Wilson, he got an appointment and everything. So we facilitated it. He came to Accra and he flew to Geneva or somewhere where Wilson was. Went and met him. And he went with Wilson to US and went to the IMF office and met Lagarde, who was the head of IMF at the time. And she went and talked to him and said, look, my country wants to get into a program. Your people are taking too long. These are the issues. Of course, we had briefed him what the issues were. And so Lagarde, said, oh, okay, we'll deal with it. And so she called the mission chief for Ghana and all that and gave them instructions. And then we noticed that things started moving quicker. And then eventually we signed off on the IMF program.
Facilitated the release of $174 million education support for Ghana.
Before my entry into the Ministry of Education, there was a project funded by World Bank for Secondary Education Improvement Project. And so when we came, we decided that we needed to roll out a program that will ensure learning outcomes accountability across all basic education in this country. So we had gone to and fro with the World Bank, hoping that we could go and sign at the last minute, go and sign the agreement for that. And just before we went, we got information from World Bank that the new World Bank president has put all such projects on hold and is not intending to fund it. So yes, true, we had fronted calls from the World Bank, and fortunately for us, Otumfour, Osei-Tutu II, may he live long, was going on a private visit to Washington. And if he was going to the World Bank, he needed to speak to the World Bank president on two critical projects that we are doing.
And lobbied for the selection of Ghana to host the African Continental Free Trade Area headquarters.
We had 7 very strong countries that put in their bets, and that included Egypt, Eswatini, Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, Madagascar, and Senegal. Now, as the leader of the planning team for pushing Ghana's bid, I decided that in view of the intensity of the competition ahead of us, that it would be very critical for me to mobilize the entire cabinet and senior government officials to put their weight behind this campaign. But it needed to go beyond government officials. For me, it was important that we identify eminent personalities in Ghana who, beyond the weight of government, could also bring their own reputation to bear upon Ghana's bid to host the Secretariat. And obviously, one of the decisions that we made as a planning team was to respectfully request through His Excellency the President that His Majesty, His Royal Majesty, the Ashantis also lend his weight to the campaign.
They needed Otumfour to use his good offices and his extensive network to assist Ghana to be selected as host of the Secretariat. Then the idea also came that he could send me as an emissary to go. So I was wearing a double hat as an emissary of government and as emissary of the king.
If you look at the angles that Otumfour went through to support Ghana's bid, I have no doubt in my mind that he played a pivotal role in helping Ghana to be able to win the bid to host the Secretariat.
The tremendous achievements of Otumfour Osei-Tutu II over the last 2 decades has attracted worldwide recognition and reinforced the historical image of the Kingdom of Asante and its exemplary leadership and pace-setter role of traditional rulers in Ghana and Africa. The result of all these is that Otumfour Osei-Tutu II has received numerous invitations from around the world for official visits to monarchs, countries, international organizations, and distinguished personalities. The long-standing relations between the Ashanti Kingdom and the British monarchy, dating back to the early 19th century, have been cemented in the reign of Otumfour Osei-Tutu II. Soon after his installment as the King of Ashanti, Otumfour Osei-Tutu II was invited by the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II, to pay an official visit to the Buckingham Palace.
I was, privileged to sit in the same car with Otumfour as we entered Buckingham Palace. And the meeting went very, very well. The Queen would normally invite people to tea for about 20 minutes, but Otumfour's conversation with the Queen was such that it lasted for about an hour, and all the aides wondered as to what was happening, which had engaged the Queen's attention for that long.
This was followed by visits to Meshia Palace.
Okay, ye papa na now say to Otumfour nyamekesi enso so edie na yakwa akuti Lord inu salansa oye isrimni awabetra santimem osanso ye MPP ni na oba beka asembi achese ne nsem awaka no ano ohyepa ose NDC party no eyisu na Dormaahene se onfa santimem ni munyafam anunti na Dormaahene eya senko du Otumfour eni be fam no according to Lord Inus and Sema Wakan say na Dormaahene niema wo ye nyina na Dormaahene kan say NDC aban ena na hihya ase satem mu position no omo na hihya ase say yewra na Dormaahene ni di Otumfour atema na say da bia oni Asantefo nya ntokwa na NDC fo nso ho ento mo according to Lord Inus anon so nsem a odi atudwa no de nkotie ni nchiremu a odi aba say Dormaahene niema wo ye nyina no wonder say ye appointing wa ban as judge ni nyina no nsem a odi atudwa
bone ben kwa na Asante dia nipa enti eti ko ba nyina ha no ote ye bibi bia so otan Asante na last year Dormaahene nioma bi ono so sorry e de ye ya me nya anko na a strategy I na for the first time me nioma why the fititi nyina ankan but this time last year she looking na ya lusu Dormaahene seat miensa ya lusu me ko bekum seat benu ya lusu sunya yenu tie ko ya bunani Asante nipa nso manani na ho ya kan no so ya si bekum fo nyina so fi afijase nkwana fo nyina fi nipa baako enso politics nti se waba ne bunani Asante anya abaka so me atamfo nso omo ade baako abunu fo na ibetina church da bi obi afi wa Asante ye baako enso politics nti ekwaye bunani Asante pe na jedam ni sayo man no oman bie no na medwa omo asase so say Germany adentia 80s 90s a ye yini no menim ya de hye bebre ko wa omo de akomayare ene san ba Ghana se wuni krata be ni akomayare wona mwem kra police me kra police visibility air strong change Germany forest we na police car me san kraman na police for jina wo wona ha odini utitire no mu oti baz ntuni krata akomayare tina mi dwawo mu mi tu kwan ko ho ufa Hamburg ufa ida Oberstein ufa Sanvinda ufa Saarbrücken uko Düsseldorf uko Essen uko ida uko Bonn uko Berlin uko Bremen mitini nkrono uko be 30 so but me ko bi efe da ko minam wa me hwe bia me na wona aso ntiase me boma ni se na me su wona aso ntiase o Germany abonten so obebo nsem Frankfurt anahe me ko ho ba ko menu miensa no ma benya odoso nko bia de ben amakro no se de ho fe bibia da de da obi anfo bia ho obi na dwuma koba ma benya odobi dia ma omo na ga ko ya wo so de tan kro no kro ya wo so de tan kro no politics nti Asante nya ne hwe politics nti amu mi ewe fi se asase so a etie na meti ya me kasei ochena be dina mini ho obi na soma ayeyo na otwen aye de ben agimuaye obi na soma ayen otwen agimuaye nti no mi ensusu ma politics na ene okoka NDC mu na sori kwa de danchen ni NDC ni first a Christopher won nkamofo won enso ho ya ne yo basa asima wo kan ho etoda na ni pani bi sia na edi ko na wo ka se bi na sese ntoma kuma so na mabu nkompo ayo meche bisa no se ade bi e be me pa na me tototo ye ka se ya wo ka no kuro wo o pa ko Facebook another ko internet ne so no kwana wo ka kire wo ya na esa ne political background nti obi do watem exactly
obayo
we gonjani asimiye wa Asante tibi fa Asante ni ago obi kawa eni nini Lord ade a wen kwasem na wudi no eni nini se gonyafo ye moa gonyafo mpempem na aka no bi abeka the service Asante ni bi kan na fe se de oyo na anya ya se woni ni ya shem emfa sa atan na nkosan Asante fo aka
it was say but behind this fee aba bedu ene
se ye ni se ye
aka munni akoda
se we ne da se ye leader na ode yokogare ru aneka ena obenye oku ena saabe na o man ode she ni patim se wo ti ni enu aye kronfo wo ka me no aye kromfo wo se bi she bi patim se nipa bonefo ne target nyanso na ya asante biye ne nsama ma ne hunu PNDC nsem buachi matres mo ha tata buwe mo adefo na asore me papa apia me nka mo na me fa ne kra nsi me ni nyina na ye 3 July gana me tini fie ye fufu to ni ye di me ni every 3 July no me ya adefo hwe bro mo soro ye ni nyuma na ekita mo e wokrom ha ye soro tia o mo bi obedwa ne dwane ye ye ko wu akontium e ko wu akontium se ye nke history ni a kian no ni abada enti time bia e dey sense so no no kro bia se ne kan den ye nya friend ni musa pe ye se mi to Ghana ni me wa ba mo hwe enkrofo bi di boni se kroyi bo a osan wo krofofo bi a ofe no krom obeko ebeka bi ni nu a media ye anoko gonja de da gomba beko tamale ni mako mpaha wo so beko sesala we beko ya betre kroyi mu bankrofo bi so abeka ye ho a oye ne jatoma owo krofofo bi a ofe no kro abeko so eyo man ti ni we eyo man onya ba no ye kramonia na onya kitasim bi esusu ye nyina Ghana fo tibuni ehwe efa mo me ye ni na ho asante
okay ano aye Lord Inusa ansa enso nsem a ore atudwa onse se 4 years ni na Dormaahene ye aye ha adwene da bia oni asantefo na beef no koso social media emebunu yi di atem we yese eno na ye nua be mai enya be kle e abe kyerensem mu se upon de ekoso nyina NDC fo na hyehyɛ akiri amu pushi na Dormaahene se onko kasa mfantia NPP aban anaso onkasa mfantia asantehene na okasa omonso be man position bi na aja ono so ade aye anonti na yes ye de ni wramo Supreme Court no enti enchirimu ayi ne Lord Inusa de aba no se NDC no mo position Yura John Dramani Mahama ne dom na ya se na Dormaahene esole a oni asantefo special Otumfour enya grudge na osole oni di atem de bia left and right and also so de me no ka say atumi ababetodwa na ye de ho nchirimu enso so ade emamu ewes fidie nso a hwe se nya asem kitu akra for ni chirimu ODK Herbal Clinic for akachi dwumadi omu dipa ene se omutu asma yade asi diabetes stroke pressure omutu asiema hotoba me pacho for ni chirimu makachi na koja arisa na bibia nkoso kama emfa ma wo hwe mo chiri kwan abehu omu wo Kumasi Dormaahene West opposite Shell filling station crime omo Makati Hills na abehu omu from I was Ahmad Trufo 0559320039 and I say 0544929758 only ODK Herbal Clinic for any shemu na ahoto idea ahoto enti mra wakachi na yedi ni asumdue enso so enkoso kama pa eno ODK for wakachi na mekamfo dia ya kodom constructions esebra opa anwia opa asase ato opa abo osefreno na ne twetwe nkomo upe mesinfo upe carpenter for plumbers stylers electricians na no madi djuma abacho fremu na unu ya kodom twetwe nkomo 0554 360 760 0592 680 366 na unu ya kodom construction ini ehia mu na omomwa omesi ufie ne kama enso fama na enso so unyen munyam enso so ufie no obusu ne nka se yedi hie wabobra an eno yakodom na mekamfo na media ma enso so ha entiari mu nsem enso so remonti da bia meka doma according to Lord Inusa and Sansema Wakan osina Dormaahene okoje bribe free NDC4 na NDC4 ka chere se oni di asantefo atem na omuba power ombepe be bi di na hye no wonder say na Dormaahene enya dibre e wa aban we mu na osan so sorry against asanteman achese eno nso so nsema Lord Inusa eno nso so atudwa na edi mu nsem enso so mamu videos. Don't forget to subscribe and share the more stories and updates you go akachi na bibia so akoso kama hwese enya sankitu aka ha ni mbesie adom bidum ye ni da so tiasia e sanso mo share bi shalom fanomba no na ni antwetwe nkomo ya kram bye bye.
say eba say yensi dan na yemfa na de emfa nya adwuma eye company ba ko pe na mekan for dia mawo no ne Alex Tito Company Limited say wesi udan wi pa abrosan wesi say dentia na pese hihye begla proof eye root control gate or to feel amo say na be ya bi ani ho nanu a nya so a na bi dia mawo say we ye do more than one we just a container we stainless a to feel now feel ye shen boga o say we ya bia abusua e be hu say me be ya bebra anasi ni ya bebra e Alex Tito Company Limited and also in diguma if you know say hotel say a year down there you see now per say you na dia stainless bebra proof this is and money we modern door we China doors you know the China doors no dia no funa ye no say a promise say ya to say no but Alex Tito Sebra with China door no be no Ghana had ye kama e dia amount e dan fefe obisi no na bibia akoso kama also dia amount stainless no but the glass is big good no no friend na money no twetwen komo no nsa no eduma fe Alex Tito or professional na nsa no eduma no bi ni twego a year for you so etu ya ho unity online TV na oni ye eduma no hwe say Alex Tito be eduma bia no ho tikama na o sentimental no kuma se na obi Alex Tito na waye dan no eduma area na di bia the proof China doors no stainless obey kama area now 0541901819 Alex Tito na sami eduma kama pa Alex Tito metal and stainless work fantastic one feno na njuchenkomo